It's always good to do a test. Good to see you, Stephen.
Oh,
How are you?
I'm all right, aye. Not bad at all.
Stephen, your
Not bad at
channel
all.
is called Race Outdoors, is that right?
It certainly is, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for taking this interview. Obviously, I've hit start on this straight away, but we can
All right.
stop at any stage as well and start again. Tell me about your channel.
Basically, I started it as just a wild camping channel. It was just literally me going out wild camping, doing what I love to do. It was originally myself and then one of my best mates, Steve Fortune, or as he's called on YouTube, Big Ginger in the Woods.
Yeah.
Literally used to go out exploring everywhere. Now, I am trying to restructure my channel at the moment. What I'm looking to do is share my adventures, my explorations, and like me camping, me hiking, everything that I do, or love to do, share that with people, but also pay an interest into other people's hobbies and what makes them tick, why they so passionate about what they do. Would they be the same person without that hobby? Like, what does that hobby bring to them? And
That's
I
kind of
kind of,
a mental health kind of deep dive, is it, to some degree of what
um,
inspired that kind of change?
so what happened was I had a conversation with one of my colleagues at work, a guy called Billy, and he's a wildlife photographer.
Okay.
And I was just talking, it was just a normal conversation. It wasn't a planned conversation or anything like that. We were just because he was talking about how he's been and got a new hide. He's been and got a hide as a Christmas present. And he's like, "Oh, wait, I'm going to go down to this riverbank. I'm going to set a stand up on one side of the riverbank,
Yeah.
and bait it for this particular bird to come and land on it. And I'm going to set my hide up on the other side of the riverbank. So when I'm taking this photo, I've got the river and the bird all in the same image." But when I was having the conversation, just the smile on his face and how passionate about it was just unbelievable. It was that's pretty strong. That's how passionate are you about that? And I thought, you know what it is? You think about photography and taking your photos like how I do about my camping.
Mm.
It just
It's
it
a,
just
it's
brightened.
yeah, and I was saying this to somebody on Wednesday when I was going camping, saying if only people knew how much stuff you think about, and it's even worse if you haven't gone, if I haven't gone camping in a while, it's even worse. It's like it doesn't matter how many camps I've done. If I stop for a while and then go back to it, there's this microcosm of thought and decisions and all this stuff that is your hobby. And
Yeah,
that's what you're saying about your colleague in work, that you see the same parallels of these. He's thinking about this shot that has to have
yeah,
all these things come together for it to work. Yeah.
yeah. That's what I want to capture in people, like because I know how my hobby makes me feel. And like the planning that's sort of going to my hobby, and that's what I want to capture with other people and their interests. Where do they want their hobbies to take them? Like being outdoors for me just brings so much. Like it empowers us.
When did nature start for you?
Mm. So I can't, I can't remember how old I was. It being sort of being what, maybe 12, 13
Hmm.
at the time. But like obviously I'm very young at the time, and I remember me and one of my friends, a guy called Stuart, and we had these. Honestly, they were like these waterproof trousers that we got our hands on. Right? They had like
Brilliant.
a little, they had like a little strap about as wide as my finger that went around the bottom of your foot. Anyways, we
You
went down to
think
the
you're
local.
impervious to everything.
Oh, honestly,
Oh,
there were two big poses as well. It was just, I bet I looked like a right character in them. Honestly, unbelievable.
this is good. I like
Anyways,
this. Yeah.
so we went down to the local beach, which is Horden Beach, up on the northeast coast. And there's like a little burn, and it was full of like tadpoles. And I remember emptying my mum's coffee jar out because I wanted this coffee jar because obviously I had a resealable lid.
Yeah.
and I wanted to catch these tadpoles in this coffee jar. So I emptied my mum's coffee jar into a bit of Tupperware. And like, there's your coffee, mum. You have that. I'm having the jar. And then it was just me and Stuart, and we just spent hours and hours and hours catching all these tadpoles.
Wow.
And we're just down the beach and we were freezing, but we didn't care. It
Mm.
was just like, and that there was probably like one of the best days of my youth, catching tadpoles.
Your
You know what I mean?
first taste. It was like the first. It's like the first drink. It's like
Yeah, yeah, man. But like first drink, but instead of having the worm at the bottom, it's got the tadpole at the bottom.
that's really cool. You just I'm sure that's going to trigger the same memory in a lot of outdoor people. Is the day you got waterproof trousers or
Yeah.
Gore-Tex or something like that. You just went, okay, I'm now able to go into outer space with this. I can float at
Oh,
65,000 feet, and I'm in a pressure suit, and somehow I'm impervious to this. And then you find out as time goes on, nothing is really waterproof. But yeah.
no, no, they weren't. I mean, waterproof trousers are no good if you've got no waterproof boots on. You know what I mean? So we still got pretty wet. And
Just talking about
honestly,
waterproof boots, whenever I test a boot, I call it the kettle test. I remember looking for a new pair of hiking boots, and I was like, I don't care if they say waterproof. I have to find a way of testing them that I can bring them back if there's something wrong. So I
yeah,
invented this non-invasive non-outdoor test, because the only way you're going to really know about a boot is if you take it outdoors, and then there's no bringing it back, right? So I would fill up a full kettle of water and I would simulate, when you're walking through ferns and you're walking through some of the heather and it's a rainy
yeah,
day, you hit the heather and it drops the drops straight down on your boot.
yeah,
And so I was like, I'm going to simulate this over really quickly by just pouring the kettle over the laces, just straight down onto the boot, and then measure whether there's any impact or not. After walking around the house for about 20 minutes, you're going to know if it's coming in. Well, these Clark's boots must be about 3-4 years ago. They said 100% waterproof, but not through the laces.
yeah.
It was
Try that, yeah.
it was like a
Sure.
sieve. It literally just went straight through them. And even when I got the new Innovates, I did that same test.
Yeah,
And the other part is, condensation builds up on the inside. So, and cold water on the outside will make it condense faster. So if your feet are sweating, you're still going to get wet shoes. But there's this
yeah,
fine balance between the cold soaking into your toes. When you feel it hit your little toe,
yes.
you've gone too far into that bog, and you can feel it, and you're like, well, that one's gone. And then for 3 more hours, you're walking with one right foot wet.
Yeah.
Um,
It's just, I tell you what, as well. I've got, like, funny enough, I've actually got them on my feet now. I was meant to be going out hiking today, but obviously life kind of brought an end to that today. Responsibilities. But I've got me seal skin socks on.
oh, I've
I've got a
heard
pair
of
of sea.
these. Are
Anyways,
they
I've actually got a pair.
effective? How do they work?
So, truthfully, I'm not taking them off. I'm not waving them in front of you.
No, that's okay.
But yeah. So essentially, like when I'm moving my toes in it now, whilst I'm talking to you, I'm feeling it with my toes.
There's people out there
But
going,
it's
"Can I
almost
see the
like a little.
feet? Can I see the feet?"
Oh yeah, well, I've heard you've got a bit of a thing for feet, haven't you? So
I'll just be over here. Go on.
yeah, I mean, was that one axe too far? Um,
Oh, it cuts deep. It cuts deep. I put those
one
boots
thing.
through. I put those boots through everything, or I put everything through those boots in the end. But sorry,
Yeah,
you were going to say about these. Are they
yeah.
neoprene or
So
something, or what type of material is it?
um, I don't actually know, to tell you the truth. I don't actually know. But going back to what you were saying there, so the feel as though like they've almost got like some sort of bag in them.
Okay.
But when I move my feet, I don't actually know what material they are. You've got me questioning that myself. However, what you were saying about the cold, feeling the cold through them.
Hmm.
So even if your feet get wet, these absolutely they become really, really cold. I mean, like they're freezing, and they
Mm.
seem to, even if they dry off, I I don't feel as though they're the warmest sock. Yes, they
Yeah.
keep your feet dry, but they're
Yeah.
not warm.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the quarter length ones.
And I would be thinking if anything holds any sort of damp. So one of the tricks I use camping is I put foot powder on and
Yeah,
all over my toes, and it's going to absorb the wet. The wet is the cold, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
Oh, here comes the socks.
These are sock. You've got us asking now.
You got to get cold piggies now.
So there's the sock.
Okay, cool. So
I'm not
it's like
showing
a
you my
normal
feet.
sock. It is like a normal sock.
So it just says Aqua Seal waterproof membrane. That's what it says on it.
Yeah.
And you can wash it you can wash it at 40 degrees apparently. It says
Wow.
um so yeah.
And it's not
But
too thick. It's not too.
it's quite a thick sock.
Is it?
They are
Yeah.
quite a thick sock, yeah.
Yeah. I
These are
have
the
now. When you say about feet, I have a sock like fascination. I absolutely love socks. I buy socks for people at Christmas, and they'll be like this. They'll go like this. It'll be months later, and they'll go like this. They'll lift up the end of their their trouser leg, and they'll pull the sock, and they go, look, it's the sock you bought me, you know. And if they're like lamb's wool mix or something like that.
Mhm.
If I find somebody who's got like always got cold feet, you'll always find that the sock is really old, or they're using socks that are old. So
Yeah,
I don't have any fear anymore in buying 18 pairs of socks in one go and just getting rid
yeah,
of 18 pairs of socks. Because I find that if you look after these things, well, obviously not hitting them with an axe is looking after them, but if you look after these things, they tend to go a little bit further than if you don't look after them. Or I even got into a point where at a certain
yeah.
point just changed them, but whether that does anything or not. What type of boots are you into?
So the ones I'm using at the minute, brushes,
Say that again.
a pair of brushes, brusher,
Rashers. Yeah.
brusher,
Brasher.
brushes. Yeah,
Brashers.
that's what I'm using at the moment. The quite a classic looking boot. I haven't got them at hand. They're actually in the back of my car because I always keep my boots in my car.
Okay.
So if I ever see somewhere I want to explore, I can just pull up and go.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm using a pair of brusher boots at the moment. I've got them from the typical stereotypical place, go outdoors.
Okay.
I think I paid 100 and I think they were around about 130 quid I paid for them.
Right. Yeah.
Um, they're a good boot. They're quite light, but like a classic looking boot rather than one of these modern day Scarpa looking type boots.
Mm-hmm. Leather. Leather
Yeah,
finish.
hybrid. So it's a mix.
Okay.
It's a mix between leather and obviously whatever material it's using on there.
Yeah.
I wish I had something
I'll
else
look
to
them
show
up.
you.
I'll look them up, and I'll put the picture of them over this. So,
Yeah, pair brush away. What I'll do is I'll find out what actual boot they are, and I'll.
yeah,
Um,
cool. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I'm using a pair of brushes at the moment, and then my trail trainer I'm using at the moment. My trails are Solomon's.
Okay.
Is what I use for that, and then I've got me normal running my running shoe that I use is just a pair of Adidas terrain ones.
Okay.
That's what I use, and then with regards to my trousers, my hiking trousers. But I've actually got them on now. Ooh, I don't know if you can see this. I'm not very
Mm-hmm.
good at getting my leg up. I always seem to go for Race Revolution.
What's that?
Uh,
Race and evolution?
Race
Race
Revolution.
revolution. Gotcha.
Race
Okay.
Revolution. Check them out. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
So you
good.
do a bit of jogging, and you do walking. You did a few big walks as well. Like I was watching your video there that you did. I'm not sure if it was last year or the year before. The one where you did, I think, 11 peaks in one day. Was it?
Yeah, so we did 11 Wainwrights in me and Stephen Fortune, Big Ginger in the Woods. We did 11 Wainwrights in 11 hours.
That the vibe in that film says it all.
Yeah,
When you think about, yeah, and I see the way it just flashes in your memory about that feel, like that's the look. When I go hiking, like somebody will say to me, "Oh, you look really well," but it's not. It's that look. It's that thing. It's that tick box of.
Yeah,
But
man.
tell me about that 11 summits.
Yeah, so so the
How far
first
was
one.
that? What length was that?
Um, so all in all, we burnt calories wise, we burnt over 5,000 calories
Savage.
in one sitting. I think all in all, I used OS maps. I
Mm.
used OS maps. Now, OS maps actually had the hike down as 18, I think it was 18 miles. But
Okay.
I'm sure by the time we finished it, we'd end up doing a wrap. But OS maps started it from the start of the mountain, not the hike to the mountain, to the foot of the
Okay.
mountains.
Yeah.
So I think by the setting the hike back from the bottom of the mountains as well, once we got down to the last one, I think it worked out as something around about 26 miles we done.
Savage. Yeah.
It's around
That's
26
pretty
miles.
max out at 26 miles. Yeah.
I think total elevation by the time we finished the elevation, I think we were over 6,000 feet
Wow.
by the time we completed them all.
So 6,000
Um,
feet is 1,000 feet is 300 meters. So three sixes are 18, 1,800 meters
yeah,
of total ascent and descent in there.
yeah.
So that's a pretty serious
I
bit of
mean,
hiking.
I've got the information off it. I mean, if you wanted if you wanted it, I can get you the actual facts.
How long did it take
Um,
you?
so all in all, it was just under 11 hours.
That's pretty good going.
So just under 11 hours it took us.
That's
I
full
think
on. That's full on all day. That is.
there's around about 60, 68. I can't remember off the top of my head. I do apologize. But I think it was about 64 to 68,000 steps in total.
Wow. Wow.
Um, but honestly, it
So
was
just to bring you back to that feeling of that, obviously there's this. Had you done something like that before? Had you done the 11 before?
no. We've done a couple of mountains before. Me and Steve, we've done a couple of peaks before, and I've done a couple by myself. So we done one where we done um, Cat Bells. Obviously, I know Cat Bells one of the smaller ones. We done Cat Bells, but we did a loop on Cat Bells.
Okay.
Uh, I've done Haystacks, Red Pike. I've done Helvellyn 3 times in one day. And I went up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down.
Oh, simulator. Yeah. I love
Yeah,
I
so I've
love
done,
simulator walks. I've only
yeah,
done one or two of them, but I love it when you do try and do a mountain a
yeah.
few times. What what
So I've
in-
done that.
what inspired that? The big climb, or what?
Which one? The 11
The
Wainwrights.
11 Wainwrights.
Um, basically, I was going through a little because I'm a bit like a yo-yo with regards to fitness.
Hmm.
I kind of sometimes I turn on, I get my head right into it. Sometimes I turn off, and I'm just like, you know what it is, I'll start next week. Um, but no, I was just at that point in time. Like Steve was there, I was there. We were just like, right, mate, we need something to do. What can we do?
Yeah.
But I don't want to go for a walk along the coast. I've done it so many times, obviously living on the coast. I says, I've done mountains in the Lake District, but like, we need a challenge. What? He was like, wait, my nickname's Racey. He was like, Racey, why don't you like find a hike we can do in the lakes? I was like, right, fair enough. He said, maybe you can like, take in like maybe 5 Wainwrights or something. We'll just maybe do 5 or something. I was like, nah, I'll tell you what, mate, let's go all out. Let's see how many we can get in one day. I'll go on. There's the app called the Wainwright app.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it, in a list of Wainwrights.
Yeah.
So I listed the Wainwrights, and then I found the biggest clump of Wainwrights on the map that are closest to each other.
Okay.
I thought, right, there's 11 in one clump, mate. Let's see if we can hit all these 11 and do a full loop.
So it's like a
So
horseshoe
yeah, so it was like a bit of a
or
funny,
a
bit
circuit.
of a funny looking horseshoe, but it was
Yeah, a
almost like a
circuit.
horseshoe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so lo and behold, we ended up doing it, and that's how we did it. So we just wanted to challenge ourselves, just wanted to push ourselves.
yeah.
So there was like Ranadale Knot in there, High Crag, Outer Side, Hard Knot. Yeah, it was
Uh,
honestly it was a
do,
Causey Pike was in there.
as you've gotten older,
Mhm.
as I've gotten older, I realize that at about 45 minutes, my body starts to. I look at it like I don't know, like it's a biological thing that it takes a while for it to loosen up. And then at about 45 minutes, like I know a particular point on my training mountain where from that point on, it's just whatever I want to do. I can just, it's just everything's moving. I found whatever rhythm is good for breathing that day. I found, you know,
Yeah.
because sometimes it can be cold. You'll give yourself bronchitis if you push too hard. But there's this one point, and it's always about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, where I just go poof into being 20 years of age again. Hang on there 1 second.
It's okay.
Where you get into this warm up feeling. Do you get that at all? That you get this moment where you're going and
Yeah, so again, bringing it back to the, just I'll use that activity that we just mentioned there, obviously the 11 wainwrights that we did. When we first started, right, we got off Ranadale Knot. We took a bit of a wrong turn on Ranadale Knot, actually. That's a different story anyways, I'll tell you that in a minute. But anyways, once we got off Ranadale Knot and we got up to, I think we were going to, was it Oneless Pike, I think, or Whiteless Pike? Honestly, my knees were so stiff. Like, my hips hadn't loosened up, and
right.
I must have been about half an hour in, about half an hour to 40 minutes in we were. And it's just taking so long to loosen up. And then all of a sudden, it was just like everything had been oiled. You know, it was just like,
Yeah.
so I probably take around about half an hour to 40 minutes for me to loosen up and get into something and
Yeah.
being able to move really. Same with me breathing. Like, you know what I mean? Because Ranadale Knot, as I say, there's a story behind that one, so I can't include that as part of the practice. I'll explain this in a second. The Whiteless Pike, like it says, when we were going up that, I was kind of struggling. And I was like proper heavy breathing. And then after that, it was just like, right, my oxygen's in there, my lungs are filled. After that, everyone just seemed a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say about 30 to 40 minutes for me to loosen up and get into stuff.
When I would bring people walking with me, and Sticks Outdoors was saying that I should do a video on this, but he said there's like some guy that shows people how to walk up mountains, and I was like, I just can't do it. But when I used to bring people walking, I would purposely slow them down, like I would never be ahead of them. I would say to them, just slow down, because this isn't going to happen until we're about X amount of time in, and you're going to push and kind of kill yourself a little bit. And I always found that was really cool to, like, because they'd be like, you want to get to the part of the brain, and this is what we were talking about before about how age.
Ben's dressing down.
We'll have to go back to the start.
Yeah.
Your special nighty there. You know.
It is. They call them Oodies. I think the Oodies, we call them. Oodies. It's like a giant hoodie.
It suits you. It's your colour.
Yeah.
I'll edit all this out. Don't worry. What was I saying about pace or whatever? Oh yes. So
Yes, slowing
forcing
down and
people
stuff.
to keep their feet close together. So I'd say to them, like, it's if big strides, I'd watch people, and I'd be watching their stride length, and I'd be like, now you got to keep the strides short and more of them. And I found
Yes.
that now I learned that from hiking. I learned it myself. I used to remember where and when and the day that I learned that, but it's you can go anywhere with that. You can go any distance if you keep the feet close together. I notice it when it's high wind, that if I'm in this short stride mode, the wind has no effect. If I'm moving with a distance between my feet, the wind has an effect on you and can push you.
Yes.
But I go like a robot into walking. Like I'm like, that's going to be 800 steps, and I start counting hundreds. As I go up something, I start counting hundreds. There's one, there's two, there's three,
Mhm.
there's four, there's five, there's six, and I start knowing, okay, there's two more hundreds to go, and then I'm going to be at the top. So it's crazy stuff. Like you really get
Yeah.
into it.
I mean, the small stride thing, I implement that myself. I've got to admit. The hundreds thing, I kind of don't. When it comes to me hiking, if I see something in the distance, I'm going for it. That's kind of how I work. I think we had a conversation before. I think I told you I nearly killed my Yorkshire Terrier, or I used to have a New Yorkshire. So with my ex-partner. Anyways,
He
I just went
didn't
out for
need
a
that
walk.
walk afterwards. He was
Oh
fine.
no,
Yeah.
I just
The
went out
walk
for
of
a
a
walk.
lifetime you gave him. Was it a boy
Yeah, it was
dog? Yeah.
honestly. Aye, the Harley, bless him, he was called. He still is called Harley. He's still there. But no, I walked up to the field, like the local field. I was fun. Come on, we'll go up the field as you do. I gets to the field. I was son. We'll have a walk down the bank. Walks down the bank. Just kept walking. Walk past the bottom of the bank. Next thing I know, I'm down the beach, walking along the beach, up round the bottom. Before he knows it, he's done about 16 mile. You
Brilliant.
know, and
Yeah.
he's a little Yorkshire Terrier. I mean, honestly, he was lying on the couch. He was at the fastest he was crying in his sleep. Like it'll be, thinking back, like looking at it, it's like us going, like we haven't been to the gym for about 4 months, and it's like us hitting the gym for, like, what I mean, for the first time in 4 months.
I'm sure
As
he
though,
loved it.
as
I'm
though I'd
sure
been
he
aching.
loved it. They love it.
Oh
They
yes,
do love it.
yes.
Yeah.
But
I
no, I'm
remember.
one of these people. If I see something in the distance, I'll head for it. I mean, I did one. When was it? September. September last year. So I live in a place in Sunderland called Silksworth. Now, anyways, I walked from Silksworth down to a place called Ryop, which is the next town. I
Mhm.
walked from Ryop to Seam, which is the next town. I then walked from Seam to Easton, which is the
Mhm.
next town. Then from Easton to Horden. Then from Horden to Blackwall. Then to Crimden. And
Wow.
then to Hartlepool. Before I knew it, I'd done 28 mile.
Wow.
I
Fair
walked
play.
to a place. If you want to look at it, actually, it's a beautiful beach, and it's got a lot of like industry down there. Hartlepool Headland. I walked to a place called Steely Pier.
Okay.
Um, and like I say, there was absolute stunning walk. The day was beautiful. I
It's some,
started walk.
somebody asked me before when's the best time to do walks like that. Mission walks. I have April and September. So when you said September, I was like, I know that feeling. You've got this
Yeah,
coolness in the morning and in the evening, and you've got this
100%.
coziness where everything's just moving. There's no real force to having to get it moving. Yeah.
See, with that walk, that one there, I've got to admit, I've been to some absolutely beautiful places. Apart from the 11 Wainwrights that I did with Steve, that walk must have been one of my most favourite walks, and it was an unplanned walk.
Yeah.
Um, I literally, all I wanted to do was just go for a little stroll, get some fresh air. Next thing I know, I've walked 28 mile. I'm a quarter of the way back. I'm ringing my partner to come pick us up because I started getting the chafe. It's like, I was like, you ain't going to
There
come
there
pick
is
us up.
a there's a cusp between um around between 25 and 35 miles
Mhm.
where just when you say about the chafe, um there's this thing between these two distances that really is beyond. Like there's some people who can run 100 miles in a day, and then but normal people, there's this there's this level, and I think that does it become that as you get older. Is what is the level? Is it like where is it? Like you said, you just had no plan at all, and you just kept on
No,
walking. It's
just kept
nothing.
walking.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, it's strange for me because I don't mind going for like a little jog or something like that. I rather not. I'm not a big fan of running, but I know I've got to keep fit
Mm.
or try to keep fit. But I find jogging and running is a chore, and I find it difficult sometimes.
Yeah. I find it very impactful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it is, isn't it? Obviously all your weight's going straight down your knees. It is a high
Mm.
impact, high impact. But when it comes to walking, I can walk. I just keep walking. Honestly, I'm like Forrest Gump. I just keep going.
Mm.
It's like obviously I know Forrest Gump runs, but I don't.
It's a
I
machine.
just keep going.
It's an inner machine. It's like I was saying to you about counting,
Mhm.
and I used to judge my fitness and cardio on how many steps I could take continuously up
Yeah.
something, like without stopping. And from that, from breaking down the numbers like 185, I remember being at altitude and realizing that my 185 that I had here at this altitude was 25 at altitude.
Yes.
For the same amount of effort, it was 25 steps and stop. 25 steps and stop. But it was
Yeah.
185. When I came back, or over the last 4 years, I started to play with a thing called cardio knitting. Now, I called it cardio knitting. I'd never heard of
Oh,
it
it's not a thing.
before.
It's just what you named it.
When you look it up on YouTube, it's ladies knitting, like
All
they're doing
right.
cardio knitting, right? But
How
my
different.
concept was start from the car. It's 4K. My training mountain's 4K up to the top. It's like 600 and something meters, and
Yeah.
it was do it without stopping. So I would allow myself to slow down to any speed I wanted to slow down to, but I could never stop. And I found that that changed my performance overnight. It was like just the um, ability changed by doing this. Like you could nearly get into a run the next time I went. I think jogging's a lot like that, isn't it? Like I've never been
Yeah.
able to get into jogging, but from what I've heard
No.
about jogging, it's kind of like you keep pushing this distance further and further, and then all of a sudden you're able to jog for 5 miles and stuff like that.
Yeah. So the one that I have to, basically the run that I do, it's 3 mile, and it's around my local town. It's just basically a big square.
Hmm.
Now, the reason I keep it like that is my work life. I work 12-hour shifts, and I know I can do that 3 mile in approximately 22 minutes. 20,
Okay.
depending on how fast I am that day.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It all depends on how I'm feeling, what day of the week it is, what I've ate, what I've consumed with regards to fluids or whatever. But on average, I'm around about 20 to 25 minutes, depending on what pace I'm running at.
Hmm.
But
I always feel
yeah,
jealous of people who can run. I don't know what it
say again.
is. I always feel jealous of people who can run.
Oh,
Just
it's like see
I
that.
just can't do it. I don't know.
Um,
I'm like
Honestly,
90 seconds in. I'm like, all right, that's it. I can't do it. I just can't.
see what annoys me more, and I think this is purely because it might be my fault, is when you're doing. I've done this run quite a few times. I'm running, and then someone runs past me, and they're about 75-year-old. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? I need to get a grip. It's like fair play to you, mate. You've obviously made good life choices. But I mean,
But you
it's
you
like
can do 3 miles without stopping. Yeah.
I can do 3 miles comfortably.
Yeah.
I can do 3 mile. I can do 3 mile comfortably.
It's a bit of a
It's like
skill. It's definitely something. When did you learn how to jog, or would it have been school or that time of your life, or?
I've always been. I don't really know. I mean, at school, I was always a bit of a runner. So I've had this conversation before with people. So I know you got those people when you were at school. You've got the guys who were good at the football. You've got the guys that were
Hmm.
good at the basketball. And
Yeah.
I was never one of them. I was never the first picked. I was never the last one picked. But when it comes to running, I was because of my pace.
Hmm.
And I just seem to have natural stamina as well. So, I mean, even from leaving school, when I went into the intake for the military at the time, you do a mile and a half, and I was able to run a mile and a half in under 7 minutes and 40 seconds.
Okay.
I was literally able to sprint a mile and a half.
Well.
At that age, obviously, I wouldn't be able to do that now. No chance of that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I've just always been able to run.
Hmm.
Like, it's like a natural skill. I mean, obviously, I've slowed down. I mean, obviously, as
No, it
I've got
is. It
older,
is. I think it is definitely a natural skill. There's
yeah,
some
it's not.
some.
It's not something I've learned to do. It's just.
It's you
I mean,
just the
I
body
remember.
has the
I remember.
form for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember running home from school as well. I used to do like the 5 mile run home from school as a kid,
Really. Yeah. Just
and
love it.
sometimes it's just because it wasn't because I had to walk home or run home. It was because I'd wasted my dinner money on an extra cookie or a packet of sweets or something, and I couldn't get the bus. So it's the only reason I did it.
Chump bars. Oh my God. Yeah. I'll have
Yeah.
two or
Well,
three of them and
there was
burn it
one
up.
point there was one point as I got older, as I got towards the later in school. The reason I run on was because I was saving the money to buy me cheap bottle of wine for the Friday night, and go sit in a bus stop somewhere. But,
How
yeah,
priorities change. One of the things that I encounter a lot are technical questions that people
yeah,
have. So when it comes to um, the technical stuff, like when you think you're going out to do something, what does that involve? Like there's there's obviously a lot of charging of things and whatever, but do
yeah.
you when you're making a video, do you think about like your frame rates these days? Do you think about what the camera does, or do you let the camera just do whatever it does, or?
So with the camera I'm using at the moment, which is actually beside me, I use this one here, the DJI Action Osmo Action 4.
Hmm.
Um, when I use that one, I find with regards to recording, so originally started off as just point and shoot. That's how I started in 1080 at 30 frames per second.
Hmm.
But now what I'm doing is I try to use a 4K, but then I found because the equipment I use, I do all my editing through my phone.
Hmm.
So 4K, the files end up being too big for my phone to process,
Hmm.
and the phone can do it. It just takes too long.
Okay.
So I've actually dropped down to 2.7K,
Yeah.
and depending on what I am recording, I alternate between 30 frames and
And
60
60.
frames,
Yeah.
in 60. And
Interesting 2.7K is
yes,
if I upload videos and they're watched in foreign countries, the 2.7K videos do better than the 4K videos a lot of the
really,
time. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say that's you just taught me something new. I didn't know
And
that.
the Hero 7 that I had for a long time that I did majority of my films with, um, it was 2.7K 60 frames a second. And it was
Yeah,
just a joy. The Hero 7 did color perfect. I don't know what they
yeah,
did with the cameras after that, but the GoPro Hero 7 just did color just stunning. It didn't like even
yeah,
if you had the sun into the camera, it looked like when you're looking into the sun into the camera, it didn't
yeah,
go, hang on a second, I'll just jump all the color and just make this look weird and blocky. But
yeah.
the Hero 7, I used to pull, I've got one here, um, one of these. I used to even twist the glass off the front to give it even more like, so
What?
that
No,
it wasn't looking through a swimming pool.
yeah,
Um,
man.
but yeah,
See, with
60,
this,
you were saying 60 frames a second and that's,
yeah. So that's 30 to 60 frames per second. Is what I use. On this one here, I've got to admit, I was originally using D-Log M so I can play with the colors afterwards.
okay.
However, I have actually just gone back to using the standard.
Hmm.
But what I've done is I've turned like the exposure down, so like the EV, I've gone to minus
Yeah,
-3.
yeah. Very
So I
important.
fluctuate. I've gone between like -3 and -7 because it kind of stops some of the bleaching and it looks more
Yeah,
natural.
yeah.
So that's what I've started playing with. I've got to admit though, I am pretty new to this camera.
No,
Um,
that's a really clever move though to drop the brightness down just that little
yeah,
bit.
I'm
Uh,
pretty new to this camera at the moment. I am trying to, I'm just like I say, I'm getting used to it. I'm exploring. I've only used this camera 3 times at the moment. Before that, I was actually I had a GoPro 13, um, but I had a bit of a YouTube breakdown.
mhm.
As you know, I've already had this conversation with you, Owen. I kind of got rid of all my equipment. I had a nice Joby tripods. I had the selfie sticks. I had the Rode microphones. I had all the gear. But I just kind of got fed up and I got rid of it all. So now, anyways,
You're
I've
building
fallen
back.
back. Yeah, because I fell back in love with my hobby. I've fallen back
Yeah.
in love with it. So I'm just gonna start investing in some bits and bobs. Like I say, I've gone and got the drone as we've had the conversation earlier. I've gone and bought a drone, and I've got the camera now. So I'm
The
just,
the
I don't,
first few weeks with the drone, I was saying this to my wife. My wife bought me a drone. I never wanted a drone, and my wife bought it for me. And some of the footage from that first month or two flying it was just all exploring, like
Yeah.
how things work, and you might get seconds or two of something that were perfect. But I was saying it to her the other day. I said, I still go back to those shots from the very beginning because it was so creative. There was this part of my brain that was exploring and trying to see, what how this worked and what works. And um, drones are just fantastic. And I think people looking from the outside in, they love to see that the building of that. We're always fearful of like the show and all how we progress through the different technologies. But we were saying this earlier. It can take you can get a new piece of kit, and it can take 3 months to a year to really start integrating it into your films and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like you say, it's learning. Obviously, for a start, you're learning your settings. Obviously, your kit itself. You got to learn all the settings of that. But then it's also implementing it within your films. Where what do
Mm.
you want to
Yeah.
achieve? Like how do you want to use it? So I watch like people like yourself, Owen. I watch videos like yourself. I've been watching. There's a guy called John who I talk to, the Hardy Life. Now he's a vlogger, and I watch how he does his editing and stuff. And it's where do you want to cut, what footage, what views do you want? We edited. You were talking about the panning on one of your lives.
Yeah.
When you're panning and obviously you pan so slowly, you're like a clock.
Mm.
Yeah, like John seems to do that. Where sometimes I feel as though some videos, me as well, I'm guilty of it. It's kind of like that, and it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like you're saying, with regards to your equipment, you take like quite some time to be able to learn how to implement your equipment properly and use it properly within your videos, getting the footage you want, the shots you want,
Mm.
the setting it up. Do you want to use your microphone today? Do you not want to use that microphone? Do you want to do a voiceover? And it's learning how it works for you,
Yeah.
um,
I
and what
used
works
to
for
I
you.
used to walk around with my camera like this, and but I started to make the feeling of if I looked somewhere that I would
Mhm.
turn my hand into my head to do the same things that my head would do. What I
Yeah, yeah.
noticed over time though was that my hand would forget.
To go
If I didn't
sideways.
look at it, it would forget to stay like this. It would tilt. Like your
Yeah,
hand naturally kind of wants to be on its side rather than
yeah.
like this. So it would tilt. Or the battery's heavier on one side of that, like even feeling it. But I
Yeah.
started to put it onto a stick. So I put it onto a piece of Hollywood, which is an
Mhm.
interesting part of filmmaking as well as the ancients used to think that Hollywood was magic wands. And so I started to attach my cameras. Actually, I've got the very first one here, which was a surfboard mount for a GoPro with
All right.
cable ties, or it drilled holes drilled
Mhm.
um, into the surfboard mount, and then I put the walking stick over it. Now,
Yeah, yeah.
the first people this was before selfie sticks came out, but I would meet people and they would look at me like I had 10 heads, because I had
So,
this on a
so you're an
stick.
innovator. So you're an innovator.
Well,
You created the you
I
created
was
the
fed
selfie
up with
stick.
losing track of this.
Yeah.
And what happens if you put a stick through this,
Mhm.
um, it always wants to find center. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So it self balances. And then also you've got obviously an extension of yourself, but you've got a way to smoothen walking out. So it won't
Mhm.
rock very easily. It'll try and always stay regardless. It'll try and stay center.
Yeah.
And although I looked like an idiot at the time, there was a time then I remember women I would encounter on the trail would go, "Oh, that's cool." Instead of "What is that?" You'd hear a comment like, "Oh, that's cool."
Yeah,
And so I can use my walking sticks like a monopod. I walk up and I go, I stab them into the ground,
yeah,
and all of a sudden it's a monopod sitting there,
yeah,
and it's a walking stick. I think that's the important part for me is,
yeah.
it's a stability thing for walking.
Like,
But
thinking of, listen to you say that there. I mean, I'm looking at the gear I've got here. I mean, obviously I've got the action
yeah,
selfie stick. That's got like I would really can't stop that in the ground. Um,
yeah. That's the thing with the
that's it.
holly is
And
you
then
can really stab it into the ground and not worry
yeah,
about
and
it.
then I've got this here, which is it's basically a chest
Oh
strap,
yeah,
but it bends. So what I
deadly.
do is I take it off, I can twist it, and then it's a selfie stick as well.
Gotcha.
So I use that as well. But this strap comes off, that will go around my back, and this here just goes over my neck,
Oh, that's
and that'll go
clever.
like that. And then
That
me
is clever. Yeah.
camera's there.
Is that made by? Oh, that has one of the magnetic connectors as well, like the
Yeah,
GoPro. Yeah.
yeah. So it's a magnetic as well. So it's just literally I can swap between that and that literally in
Mm.
an instant. Um, because as I was saying in my description on my channel, I'm into exploring as well, not just me hiking.
Yeah. You were saying you're gonna
Um,
do some. Oh, can I give this away? Can I?
Go for it. Go for it. There's more people. I want to share that. I'm not bothered about sharing because if other people want to go do it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
but bit of a disclaimer: if you hurt yourself, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, go for it if you want to give it away.
You were saying about doing exploring historic places and abandoned places and tunnels. The the
Yeah,
tunnel thing, I love like the tunnel stuff. I could watch those videos all
yeah.
day. Well, I could watch them for a whole day. I could watch a tunnel and then I kind of go, okay, I've had enough of the tunnels. But
Yes. So where I live, there's quite a lot of tunnels actually. Thinking about it. So there's one that I've seen. It's another YouTuber that's actually been there and done it before me. And another vlogger that's been there and done it before us. And I've seen it and I thought, wow, that is absolutely brilliant. I want to go do this thing.
mm,
So where I live, near where I live, there's a place called Seam.
yeah,
And there's a tunnel in the middle of Seam. It starts in a place called Dorden. And it's a series of 4 to 5 tunnels.
yeah,
Each tunnel is about 500 meters long. It's basically, the tunnels are there because of the course of the burn, the natural burn that runs through it.
mm,
So obviously, rather than rerouting the burn, they've just built a tunnel over it, essentially, and built the roads over the top of it, the town over the top of it, essentially.
wow,
So yeah, each tunnel is around about 500 meters long. They open up, and then it goes into the next tunnel, but it leads all the way to the beach. So you can start in the middle of the
deadly.
town, and the next thing you know, you're at the beach. There's like fast flowing water. There is quite fast flowing water going through it, so you're going to need obviously waders on or some decent wellies or something
Yeah.
on. But yeah, I really want to go through it. I just want to. Do you know? Do you ever get that feeling when you're walking somewhere, right, and you're in the dark and you've just got to look back over your shoulder, like do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the
the fourth
insecurity, like
man, I call that. It's the
yeah, like it's just I'm gonna word this. It's like it's the unknown, isn't it? It's like I want to explore. I want to experience it. I want to experience it. I want to see it, like just the design, the architecture of it, how it works, like as well, and then also the fact that you can actually go through there and get all the way from the middle of a town to the beach without seeing a single person.